Hello everyone, welcome to this section. In this section, we are going to create an Instagram clone app using the Parse Server. So first things first, in order to have a social media application, we need to have a backend so we can save our data or images or the users of the app to server or somewhere in the cloud, so later we can retrieve those data. Or for example, other users of the app can get the data of another user. So first we need to have a backend. Let's go ahead and open your web browser and search for back for app. And then press on enter key on your keyboard. So here it is, the server that we are going to use, back for app Parse Server hosting. I'm gonna click on this link. So here it is, the website. And then first you need to go ahead and sign up here. So just click on sign up and then enter your credentials and then click on create account. After you have signed up, then go ahead and log in to the application. And when you log in, you should see something like this. It says build a new app. Or here at the top right corner, it says new app. I'm just gonna click on this button and then you need to specify the app name. So I'm gonna say Android P Instagram clone. And here you can specify a description for your app. So it is going to be Android P Java Instagram clone. Next, go ahead and just click on create. So it's gonna do all the things for you automatically here. You don't have to do anything here. Just wait and be patient until this process is finished. So here we can see that our backend is created. Here it is, our Parse dashboard. Here you can see this browser. Here we have the role, the user, and other categories. We have push notification, analytics, and the server settings. So now we just simply need to go ahead and add the Parse library to our Android application. And for that, we need to have some keys. So here you can see the server settings, just click on it. Here we have the core settings. Here it says edit your keys, delete, transfer, clone, and restart your app. So let's click on these settings of the core settings. So here it is, the information that we need for our application. So here it says below you can find the details of your Parse app. Here it is, the app ID, the app name, app description. Here it is, the Parse API address. We are going to use this address in our Android application. We have the Parse version, which is automatically the latest version. We don't have to change this one here. We have the client key, JavaScript key, and other information. So how we can use this information? For that, we need to go ahead and open another tab and search for parseplatform.org. So here it is, the website of the Parse platform. We are going to use the Parse server actually. And here we should just scroll down here, and here you can see that it says we have the Android SDK for the Parse. Just click on guide. Note that we support Android 4.0 and higher. So if you want to use the Parse server on your application, you make sure that your application, the minimum SDK that your application uses is Android 4.0 or higher. And here we have the installation process. So here is the first step. Download Parse SDK Android. So how we can download it? By just using the dependency. First, we need to go ahead and create our Android project. So for this application specifically, I'm going to use the official version of Android Studio. I'm not going to use the Android Studio Canary version because this application is going to be a complex app. I just wanted to use the official version of Android Studio because in this way, it's much more understandable for you. And maybe in Android Studio 3.3 Canary version, there are some changes that are not still implemented in Android Studio 3.1. So here, first I'm gonna check for update. I'm gonna click on configure and then click on check for updates and make sure that your SDK packages and your Android Studio is up to date. So here it is, the dialog that says the Android Studio 3.2.1 is available. So first I'm gonna update my Android Studio to 3.2, and then I will go ahead and create the Instagram clone application. So I just need to click on update and restart, and here we just need to wait until the downloading process and the installation process is finished. So my Android Studio is updated, and here in order to complete the installation, we have this one, import studio settings from. So because I had a previous version of Android Studio, I'm gonna choose this previous version. You can also choose this one, do not import settings, but I prefer this one. And just click on OK. So my Android Studio is updated successfully. Now I just need to go ahead and start a new Android Studio project. So here I'm gonna choose Instagram clone as the name of the application. So just click on next, and here we are going to choose API 19 instead of API 16 as the minimum SDK that we are going to use inside our application, because here let me tell you that we are going to use some external libraries that need the API 19 to be the minimum SDK. So here you can see it says phone and tablet. I'm gonna just click on this drop down, and I'm gonna choose API 19 KitKat, Android 4.4 KitKat. And here just click on next, choose empty activity, next. And finally, the activity name is going to be main activity. So we can change this main activity to sign up activity, because the sign up activity is going to be the first activity that we are going to show to the user. So we can just name it as sign up. You can see that the layout name is already changed to activity _ sign _ up. Make sure that the generate layout file option is checked, and also the backwards compatibility option is also checked. Just click on finish. So here a new panel is opened for me about what's new in Android Studio 3.2. So you can just read this panel here in order to take a look at the new features of the Android Studio. I'm gonna just close this assistant area by just clicking on this icon. Now you can see that the build process is being executed, so we should be patient until this process is finished, and then we can go ahead and interact with Android Studio. So let's wait. Another important point that I want you to know is that make sure that your internet connection is on whenever that you are creating a new project. Okay, if your internet connection is not on and the Android Studio wants to download some data from the internet, then it is going to cause some problems. So now my Android Studio is ready. It took me about 5 minutes to wait, so the Android Studio is ready to work on. You can see that the build is completed successfully. And here I just wanted to let you know that sometimes it might take 10 minutes and you should wait until the Android Studio is ready. Now that we have the Android Studio configured properly, we need to go ahead and add the Parse Server to our application. First of all, here make sure the Android view is opened, and then we need to go ahead and open the Java folder, open the first package, right click on this package. Here we are going to create a new Java class. The name of the class is going to be app. And then make sure the kind is class, visibility public, and the modifier is none. Just click on OK. So our app class is going to extend from the application class. So just type in here application. So make sure that you are referring to this android.app package application. Next, we need to go ahead and open our Android manifest file. So double click on this manifest. And then inside this application tag, we need to add the app class that we created here. So here it is, the ending tag of this application tag. The ending tag is at the bottom, okay? So for this starting tag, you can see all of these attributes. I need to add another attribute. Just type in here name. So here we have something called Android:name. So select this one, and then it is automatically referring to this .app class inside this package. So I'm gonna select this one, .app. This is referring to our class that we created inside this package. And this class, because it is inheriting from the application class, it is application. And now that we added to the manifest file, we can now go ahead and add the parse codes, the app ID or the keys to our app class. So inside the app class, just type in here onCreate, override this method, so we get this method from the application class. And I'm going to add the parse codes. So let's go ahead and open the Parse platform documentation. So here it is, the installation process. First, we need to go ahead and copy this line of code here, Maven, curly braces, and this link. Let's go and open our Android Studio, open the Android view, and then here we have the Gradle scripts. Open it, double click on this build.gradle module app, and also double click on this build.gradle project module, the Instagram clone. And then here you can see something called all projects, right? Here we can see that it says inside the all projects block, inside the repositories block, we need to add this line of code. So here it is, our repositories block. I'm gonna just create a new line here, and I'm gonna paste this line of code. Now that I added this line of code here, I need to go ahead and sync the project. So at the top here, you can see that it is added this option for me so that I can sync the project. I'm just gonna click on this link or button, and let's wait. At the bottom it says processes are being executed, so now it is finished. Now let's go back to the Parse platform documentation, then add the library to your project build.gradle. So we need to go ahead and open our build Gradle scripts, and then this time open the build.gradle module app. Okay, so inside this file we have something called dependencies block. All of the external libraries that we are going to use inside our application, all of those codes must be added inside the dependencies block. So inside this block, I'm going to create a new line. And then here, we need to go ahead and copy and paste this line of code. It says implementation and this code. I'm just going to copy it and then paste it here. Sometimes you are going to add libraries to your project, and instead of implementation, you may see compile. So the compile keyword is not used anymore. So you just need to go ahead and delete the compile and use the implementation keyword. And here, now that we added this dependency code, we need to go ahead again, sync the project. So at the bottom, it says the project is being synced. So if there is a typo here, or if there is a problem with your library, it might not actually build the process, or the build process might fail. In that case, you need to go ahead and just solve this problem. So here you can see that we have a problem with this dependency. It says unable to resolve dependency. So you can see that there is a problem with our dependency here. So let's see what is going on here. So here you can see that it says parse latest version dot here. So here, instead of latest version here, we need to put the latest version of parse, not this code. So that's why it's very important that you read the documentation. It says with the latest version being 1.18.5. Okay, so we need to go back to Android Studio here. After this colon here, just delete this latest dot version dot here, and then just enter this value of the latest version of parse, 1.18.5. Okay, now I need to go ahead and sync the project again by just clicking on this try again. So the build process is completed successfully without any problems. So let's go back to Parse platform. So here it says the step 2. So set up parse, initialize a parse using your server configuration. So this is the very important step. And here it says that to create a class called app that extends the application class. And also we need to go ahead and add that class to our manifest file, to the application tag. We already did that. So, and here let's go to the app class. Here it is our onCreate method. Let's see what we are going to do here. First, let's go ahead and just copy this block of code, this parse.initialize here, and just copy it and add it here inside this onCreate method. So here you can see that it is not recognizing this parse class. That's because it didn't import this parse class here. So I'm just going to delete this parse, and I'm going to type in here parse again. So when I type in here parse, the autocomplete feature of Android Studio is referring to this package com.parse. I'm gonna press an enter key on my keyboard. At the top, you can see this import statement is added. Import com.parse dot parse with capital P. This is the class. Now the error is gone. So first we need to add the application ID here inside the codes. So let's go to our Back for App website. Here, Back for App, and here it is our application. Let's go ahead and just click on server settings, and then here you can see the settings. So here, this is our app ID. I'm just gonna right click on it and then copy and then paste it inside the codes for the application ID. Next, we need to go ahead and enter the client key. So let's scroll down here. So here it is, the client key. Just select it, right click on it, copy, and then paste it here. Next, we need to enter the server URL. So go back to Back for App, and here you should see the server URL. So here it is, the Parse API address. I'm gonna select it, right click on it, copy, and then paste it here. So now we are officially ready to work with the Parse server. But before that, let's go ahead and click on build at the top and then click on rebuild project, because we added these codes here and I want to make sure that everything is ready. And here, while the build process is being executed, let me show you that if you go ahead and open the Gradle scripts build.gradle module app, at the top you should see the minimum SDK version that your app is using. So currently it is 19, okay? If it is 16, make sure that you change it to 19, because we are going to use some other external libraries that require minimum SDK to be 19. So let me close these files here at the top. Let's close the app class because we don't need it anymore. We just need to go inside the signup class. Now let's go ahead and let's take a look at the documentation. Open the parseplatform.org, and then let's take a look at the objects here, the objects in Parse. So in order to add an object to the Parse server, here it is the code. First, we need to have a class with the name. For example, this one is game score. And then here inside the codes, you can see the name of the class. And then we can add values to our class. For example, we can say the score is, for example, this one. So here, the game score that is created here is an object of type game score class. So now let's go ahead and create our own object, our own class in Parse. Let's go and open the Android Studio. And then let's go and open the activity underline signup.xml file. And here, let's create an onClick method for this hello world text. So just select it and then search for the onClick attribute. And I'm gonna say hello world tapped. So just copy this value here and then go and open the signup.java file. Inside the onCreate method, or excuse me, inside the signup class, we need to create a method, public void, and then add the name of the method. So here, it mistakenly overrided this method for me. So public void, and then the name of the method, a pair of parentheses. Make sure that you put this parameter here, which is of type view. So here the view class is not imported. I'm gonna select it, Alt Enter, and now it is imported at the top. And then open and close this method by using these curly braces. So whenever the hello world is tapped, whatever we put inside this method is going to be executed. So I'm gonna create a parse object. Let's say parse object. And then the name is going to be, for example, boxer. Assignment operator, and I'm gonna say new parse object. Inside the parentheses here, we need to put two quotes because we need to pass a value of type string. And the value that we want to put here is going to be the class name. So I'm gonna name it as boxer with capital B. And then semicolon. So now that we have created this class, let's say that our boxer dot put. So here we need to pass the key and a value. So for example, the key is going to be punch underline speed, and the value is going to be related to this key, right? So the punch speed is going to be, for example, 200. And now this means that whenever we want to access this 200 value, we must pass or we must access the punch speed, and then we can access the value 200. Now I want to save this object to the server. So I'm going to say boxer dot save. So there are some types or different types of this save method. We have the save method. So the save method is going to save the object to the Parse server, but there is a problem with this one. It is going to execute this heavy operation, the saving process, on the main thread or the UI thread, and that means it is going to actually block the UI thread, and sometimes our application is going to actually freeze. So that is not a good programming practice. We have save eventually, so for now just ignore the save eventually method. We have the save in background method, so it is a proper method because it is not going to block the main thread. It is going to save the object in the background or in a new thread, so that means it is a proper method. There are two types of saving background. The first one is just going to save the object to the server in the background and then it will finish. The second one, there is a callback related to this one. This callback means that when the object is saved to the Parse server, so the process might be successful or it might actually fail. When the process is finished, we can go ahead and do something about it. So let's select this one, and I'm gonna choose the background here. I'm gonna have a callback. When the saving process is finished, I want to be notified. So I'm gonna say new, and then hold down the shift key on your keyboard and then press on the letter S. Save callback, and then press on enter key on your keyboard. So here it is, the save callback. It is somehow actually like the on-click listener interface, remember? An anonymous inner class that is going to implement that interface, and that class must implement the method, the abstract method. So in this case, it is the done method. So this done method has a parameter called parse exception. So if anything goes wrong while the saving process is being executed, then this variable e, which is of type parse exception, is going to have that error. So inside this done method here, I want to say if the e, the parse exception, is actually equal to null and there is no error, so this means that the object is saved successfully to the server without any errors. So if it is null, then we can go ahead and say that let's create a toast message. So toast.makeText. So we need to pass the context. So if I pass this keyword here, it's not gonna work because we are inside an anonymous inner class. But the context must be the sign up class. So sign up dot this, comma. Next, we need to specify the text. So I'm gonna say, for example, the boxer object is saved successfully. Okay, comma. Next, as the third argument, we need to specify the duration. So I'm gonna choose long and then call the show method on this toast object. So now let's go ahead and run our application. So I'm gonna choose one of these devices with API 28 and click on OK. So here it is, our app. I'm gonna click on this hello world here. So I just clicked on it, and now we should wait and see what happens. So here it says boxer object is saved successfully. So now we need to go to our server, and here it is, our Parse dashboard. I'm gonna click on this core category here, just click on it, and here you should see some other subcategories. Inside this browser, we have role, user, and take a look at this one, boxer. So this is the name of the class here. We created this class, boxer, that is saved in the server. I just click on this boxer class. So here we have objects of type boxer. Here we have the object ID. This object is created at this date. So you can take a look at this date here. And then we have the update at, we have ACL. So take a look at these other values. We have punch speed. So the punch speed of this boxer is 200, right? So this is how parse works. In order to save up an object to the parse server first, you need to go ahead and create a class. And then here, before that, you need to specify the name of your object. So it is going to be of type parse object. The name is boxer here. And here, the name of the class. After that, you need to specify the attributes of your specific object. So for example, mine is boxer.put, the punch speed is 200. And then I saved this object in the background and I wanted a callback. So when the saving process is finished, I am actually notified. So inside the done method, whatever we put here is going to be executed when the saving process is finished. So when the saving process is finished, here I said that if there is no error, go ahead and show this toast message to the user. Okay, so if I go ahead and click on this hello world text view again, it is going to go ahead and create another boxer object in the server. So if I go and open the dashboard and if I refresh this page, so here we have this option refresh. So make sure that you selected the boxer class and then click on refresh. Here you should see the second boxer object that is created here. Again, its punch speed is 200. But here you can see inside this area on the left sidebar, you can see that this value number 1 is not updated. So in order to see the updated value, you need to go ahead and refresh the whole page. So at the top, I'm going to click on refresh the whole page here. And now we should see that we have 2 objects of type boxer class. So now it's challenge time. Go ahead and create a kickboxer object and specify the punch speed, punch power, kick speed, and kick power, and also the name of your kickboxer object. And make sure to save that object in the background to the Parse server and then show a toast message to the user in order to notify the user that the object is saved successfully to the server. So go ahead and give this challenge a shot and good luck. So now let's go ahead and let's solve this challenge. First of all, you can see this block of code that is related to this boxer object. I'm gonna just highlight it and then comment out these lines of code. Now I'm gonna go ahead and create another parse object and I'm gonna say kickboxer, the name of the object, new parse object. So the class name is going to be kickboxer. Next, semicolon. And then I'm gonna go ahead and specify the name of the kickboxer object. So kickboxer.put. So the key is going to be, for example, John as the name, comma. And this is the key. So here, excuse me, I need to change it to name. And the value is going to be John. So for the value, you can use integer or, for example, numeric values also. So here I just used a string value John for the name, for the key name. And here, let's say kickboxer dot put. So now I'm going to specify the punch speed. So I'm going to say punch speed, comma. So the value is going to be, for example, 1000. And the punch power, so kickboxer dot put. First, the key is going to be a punch power, comma, and the value 2000. Now we need to specify the kick speed and kick power. So kickboxer dot put. So it is going to be kick speed, comma, it is going to be 3000, and also the kick power, comma. So here I'm going to use 4000. So that's it. Next, we just need to go ahead and save this object in background. Save in background. So I need a callback. So new save callback. And inside the done function, I'm gonna type in here toast dot make text. So we need to pass the context, which is going to be sign up dot this. The text is going to be, for example, kickboxer is saved to server. So instead of just saying kickboxer, we can say the name. We can specify the name of the object. For example, I can delete this kickboxer here, and instead I'm gonna refer to this kickboxer object dot, And then I can say get. So here I told you that in order to access the value, we need to pass the key. So this get method needs a key that we can access the value of. So I'm gonna put a pair of quotes, 2 quotes, and inside the quotes, the key is going to be name. So the kickboxer name plus, and then here you can see that it is going to concatenate this value with this value. The name of the kickboxer is saved to server, comma. Next, we need to specify the length. So I'm going to choose short and then dot show. So now let's go ahead and run our project. So here, let's go ahead and click on hello world. Let's wait. So here it says John is saved to server. Let's go and open our Parse dashboard. So here we cannot see the class kickboxer here. We need to refresh this page. So here we have the kickboxer class and it says one. There is one object here. So here it is, for example, the kick speed, the name, the punch power. Here we have the punch speed, we have the kick power. So here it is, our object successfully saved to server. And now I have another challenge for you. Go ahead and allow the user to specify these values. So for example, for the punch speed, it should be the input of the user that is going to be saved to the server. Okay? So give this challenge a go and good luck. So now let's go ahead and solve this problem, this challenge. Let's go and open the activity underline sign up. And now I'm gonna go ahead and delete this hello world text view because we don't need it anymore. And inside this palette section, select text and I'm gonna drag this plain text. Or you can just search for this plain text here and just drag it here. I'm gonna put it here center horizontally. Let's add the constraints. And let's also add some other edit texts here. So the first one was for the name. The second one is for the punch speed, punch power. We need 2 other edit texts for the kick speed and the kick power. And let's also add a button here so that we can save these values to the server. The first one, just delete the value of the text. And let's search for the hint attribute. And let's enter here, please enter the name of the kickboxer. So here we cannot see the value of the hint because it is too large. We can just select this edit text, and for the layout width, let's choose match constraints. And let's also select all of these other edit texts, and for the layout width, let's choose match constraint. So here, what is the problem? So it is saying that there is no constraint here. That's why it didn't actually specify the width for us to be match constraint. So I'm going to add the constraints first. After adding the constraints, we can say that the width to be match constraint. Okay. For this one, let's also add the constraints. So let's select the second edit text, and for the text attribute, let's delete this value and let's go and specify the hint here. So the hint is going to be please enter the punch speed. This one is going to be please enter the punch power. This one is going to be the kick speed. And finally, this one is going to be the kick power. Next, let's go ahead and specify an ID for each of these edit texts. So the first one is I'm going to choose ID is going to be EDT name. So let's switch to the all attributes here and specify the ID here. So here it says update usages as well. So it is going to also update the ID of this specific edit text inside the java.r file. So for example, if your Java classes are referring to this edit text and that ID is different, now that we are updating this ID, it is going to change the ID also in other classes. So I'm going to choose yes here. So let's select the second one, EDT punch speed. So I'm going to say yes, because sometimes you don't want your classes, your Java classes, to update the ID of a specific ID that is referring to an edit text. So that's why I do not check that checkbox that says don't ask me again. So I'm going to select this one, EDT punch power, this one kick speed, and finally we have the kick power. Next, let's select this button for the ID. Let's say btn save, and let's change the text of this button to be save Kickboxer object, or save Kickboxer to server. That's it. Now we can go ahead and run our application and see that everything is working fine. So here it is, our layout, and everything is perfect. Let's go back to Android Studio, switch to the signup.java file. So here we don't need this hello world tapped function anymore. So I'm gonna delete this function, and it's ending curly brace. So here these are the codes to save the Kickboxer object. I'm gonna just cut these codes, and here first I'm gonna create an object of type button. So let's change it to private because I want always my instance variables to be private. The name is going to be btn save semicolon. Let's go inside this onCreate method and let's initialize our method. So this is a very good programming practice that you specify your instance variables inside your class and then initialize them inside the onCreate method. The reason that I am creating or declaring my instance variable button inside a class is that I want to access this button in other methods too. If I just wanted to use this method inside the onCreate method, I didn't have to declare this button, this variable inside the class. So next, let's go ahead and initialize our variable. Let's say find view by id, r.id dot btn save semicolon. So now, after the ending curly brace of this onCreate method, I'm gonna simply create the onClick method. But before that, we need to specify the onClick listener interface. So let's say btn save dot set onClick listener. So let's say that this sign up activity is going to be the context, and now this class must implement the view.onClick listener interface. Next, we need to go inside this class and override the onClick method. So now there is no error here, and we can just paste our Kickboxer object codes here. So here, instead of hard coding the values of the attributes of this Kickboxer, we can go ahead and access our edit text values and use them here. So for example, for this John here, we can refer to the edt name edit text and get the text and convert it to a string value. And in that case, we can go ahead and save the name of the Kickboxer by getting the input from the user. So before that, we need to also declare our variables inside the class. So I'm gonna say private and edit text. So I'm gonna just declare all of my edit text objects in one line of code. So the first one is going to be edt name, comma, edt punch speed. You can actually skip this part of the tutorial if you know what to do here. So edt name, edt punch speed, edt punch power, comma, edt kick speed, comma, edt kick power, semicolon. Next, let's go ahead and inside this onCreate method, let's initialize each of these edit text objects. The first one is edt name, semicolon. Next, we have the edt punch speed. Next, we have the edt punch power, and we have the kick speed and kick power. So let me make sure that there is no typo here, so it's okay. Okay, that's fine. Now that we have these edit text objects initialized, we can go inside this onClick method, and instead of hard coding the name of the Kickboxer, we can say edt name dot get text dot to string. It is as simple as that. So we do the same for all these other attributes. So here it is the punch speed, the punch power. Now we have the kick speed and kick power. Okay, that's fine. Now here we are trying to show the name of the boxer. So here we say kickboxer.get the value of the name. So it is going to go ahead and get the name from this edit text instead. Now let's go ahead and run our project. So now it says, please enter the name of the Kickboxer. So I'm gonna enter, for example, Jack. And here it says punch speed, I'm gonna enter 2000. The punch power, for example, I'm gonna enter 200. Kick speed 100, and kick power, I'm gonna enter 5000. And here I'm gonna go ahead and click on save Kickboxer to server. So now it is showing me this toast message, Jack is saved to server. Let's go ahead and open our Parse Server. And here, let's click on this refresh here. Make sure that the kickboxer is selected and then click on refresh. So here you can see that our object is not saved to server. And here, when I click on this save kickboxer to server, it says that Jack is saved to server. So what's the problem? When I refresh this page, we cannot see our kickboxer object being saved here. So there is a problem here. And the reason that we see this toast message is that we didn't check for any exception inside this done method. We need to say if e is equal to null, then go ahead and show this message to the user. So if the e is not equal to null and there is an exception of type parse exception, it's not gonna execute this toast message. So here we can create an else statement. So let's say else, and inside this else block, I'm gonna just copy and paste this toast message here. And I'm gonna say, so instead of saying that the kickboxer is saved to the server, we need to go ahead and show the error to the user. So I'm gonna say e.getMessage. So it is going to show a message related to the error that is happening. So instead of toast.length short, I'm gonna choose long so that we can see the error. Now let's go ahead and let's run our app again. So here, let's enter the name of the kickboxer and the punch power, or excuse me, the punch speed. For example, punch power is going to be 4,000. Kick speed, I'm gonna enter 9,000, and the kick power, I'm gonna enter 100. Let's go ahead and let's click on save kickboxer to server and let's see what happens. So here there is an error. Here let's click on this button here. It says kickboxer punch power expected number but got string. Here it says expected number but got string. So there is a problem here. So what is the problem? Here, let me show you the dashboard. Here where we created this John object, for these columns that you can see here, for example, for the kick speed of this kickboxer object, we entered 3,000 as the value. So the value that we passed here is an integer value. If you remember, instead of string, I passed integer value for the kick speed, kick power, punch speed, and punch power. So now it tries to add this object, this Jack object, this kickboxer object to the server, but here the value that we are passing is of type string because we are getting these values from our edit texts. So that is the problem. Now we need to go back to Android Studio, and in order to solve this problem, here we need to convert these values to an integer value. That's simple. So for example, I can say integer dot parse int, and I just need to put this edt punch speed dot get text dot to string inside the parentheses. So I'm gonna put this ending parenthesis here, and here parse int, and let's put the starting parenthesis here. So we should do the same thing for all of these other columns. So for example, we have the punch power. We need to say edt parse int and paste it here. And let's add the ending parenthesis here at the end. So it says it needs an ending parenthesis. And also for this one, we need to put an ending parenthesis. So now the error is gone. Okay. Now let's paste this one here, and let's add an ending parenthesis here at the end, and also for this one. Now we can go ahead and run our application, because these columns that we put here, they need integer values for the kick speed, kick power, and other columns that need integer values. So let's go ahead and enter our values here. So let's enter the punch speed and 7,000. Let's go ahead and save the kickboxer to server. So the toast message says Jack is saved to server. So now we are 150% sure that this object is actually saved to the server because we checked for this null value. That's why it is very important that you check for this null value and make sure that there is no problem, and then you can go ahead and show a success message to the user. So now I'm gonna go ahead and click on refresh. Make sure that the Kickboxer class is selected here. Now we have the Kickboxer object jack, we have the kick speed, and we have other attributes: kick power, kick speed, punch power, and punch speed. So hopefully that makes sense. So I'm gonna end this tutorial by showing you how to add an external library to your project. So here, let's go ahead and open a new tag, and I'm gonna go to google.com, and here I'm gonna search for a specific library. For example, I don't like the look of the current toast message. So here I'm gonna search for fancy toast library Android. So this is how you search for a specific library if you want to add it. So here we have this first link in GitHub. We have fancy toast Android, and let's click on this one here. So here you can see a description of this toast message: make your native Android toasts fancy, a library that takes the standard Android toast to the next level with a variety of styling options. So here it is the developer that created this library. And here, let's take a look at our library. Here we have the prerequisites. So first we need to add this line of code to the repositories block of the all projects block. So we already added this code to the repositories block. So now we just need to simply add the dependencies code. So I'm gonna copy this line of code, and I'm gonna go into the Android Studio, and let's go and open the build.gradle module app. And let's scroll down here inside the dependencies block. Let's paste this line of code. So now, after adding this line of code, make sure that instead of compile, we have the implementation keyword, because the keyword compile is not used anymore. Now let's go ahead and click on sync now. And here, let's go to our web browser, and here you can see the usage of this library. So for example, we have the default toast message. If you want to show a default toast message, you can use this line of code. If you want to show a success toast message, you can use this line of code. We have info, we have warning, we have error, we have confusing, and lots of other styles of the toast message. So this is very cool. So let's go ahead and, for example, choose the success toast message here. Let's copy this line of code, and let's go into our Android Studio. So here you can see that the library is added successfully to the project. Now let's go into our signup.java file, and here, instead of using this regular toast message, I'm gonna paste this line of code here. So here, for example, it says fancy toast message. It is in red color. That means it isn't added to this file yet. So I'm gonna delete it, and I'm gonna type in here fancy toast. So it is now added to the top of the file. So if I scroll to the top, you should see that this library is added to our file here, fancy toast message. So I'm gonna scroll down here, and here let me also show you the screenshot. So for example, a success toast message is like this one, or a warning, or an info, or also a default toast message. And also here you can see some other information about this library, the license, and also other information. Let's go back to Android Studio. So here it says, so we have this fancy, it says fancy toast that make text. So instead of this keyword, we need to say sign up dot this, and for the message, I'm gonna say that, for example, kickboxer dot get name. So let's pass the key name, and let's concatenate this value to another value. Let's say is saved to server, and also for the other arguments here, we have the duration of this message. So it is fancytoast.length long, and the type of the message, so it is fancytoast.success, and it also shows an icon for the toast message. It is an Android icon. So I'm going to show you this message in a minute. So let's go ahead and actually say that. So it seems that the else block is deleted. So let me go ahead and create this else block here, and let me just cut this line of code and paste it here. Okay, so here, if I scroll to the top, you can see that the else block is here. I don't know why this happened, but this happened. So I'm gonna just cut this line of code and paste it here, and I'm gonna delete this extra else block. So now for this error message, we can also show a fancy toast message. So here we can say, let's go to our web browser and let's copy the error toast message here. So for the error toast, I'm gonna copy this line of code and I'm gonna paste it here. So the context is going to be sign up.this. The message is going to be at the e.get message, the error that we want to show to the user, and also the type is error. So let's go ahead and let's run our application. So now let's go ahead and add a Kickboxer object. So for example, I'm gonna enter, the name is going to be Sean, and the punch speed, punch power, and kick power and kick speed, or excuse me, kick speed and kick power. So now let's go ahead and click on this button, save Kickboxer to server. Now we should see a fancy toast message. So the reason that we are not seeing a toast message is that we didn't call the show method on this toast object. So at the end, we need to call .show on each of these toast messages. So let's go ahead and run our project again. But here, if you go to the server, you can see that this object is added here. An object named as Sean is added here. You can see the name. So let's go back to Android Studio. Let's go into our emulator. So let's enter the name again. So this time, let's enter, for example, Michael as the name of the Kickboxer. And let's enter other values, for example, 8,000, 500, and 400 for the kick speed, and kick power is going to be 3,000. Let's click on Save Kickboxer to Server, and now we should see the toast message. So here it is, our fancy toast message here. So let's enter an invalid value for the kick power. For example, let's enter a letter A here, because an invalid value, it might show us an error toast message. So our application is crashed. So the reason that our app crashed is that I entered the letter A in an edit text. But here you can see that when we try to put these values as the attributes of our Kickboxer object to the server, we are converting these values to a string value. So for example, this punch speed edit text here needs an integer value. But if I, for example, enter letter A here, it is going to convert the letter A to an integer value, and that is not possible. It cannot convert the letter A to an integer value, and that's why our application is crashed. The exception that we saw is not related to the saving background method that we have here. How we can solve this problem? We can go ahead and we can use the try-catch statement in order to not to allow the app to crash. So here I'm going to show you a simple trick that you are going to use a lot in your projects. So I'm going to use a try block and put all of these parse codes, these parse object codes inside the try block. So here inside the onCreate method, before creating this parse object, I'm going to say try. I'm going to explain to you why we use the try block in a minute. For now, let's just put the try and then put an opening curly brace. And we put this ending curly brace after the ending curly brace of the saving background function. So if I click on this ending curly brace, it is showing me the starting curly brace in order to show me that what this ending curly brace is related to. So after this ending curly brace of the saving background, I'm going to put the ending curly brace of the try block. After the ending curly brace of the try block, I'm going to type in here catch. Inside the catch parenthesis, I'm going to type in here exception to get the exception that is thrown whenever something goes wrong. And I'm going to open and close this catch block by using these curly braces. So here, let me explain to you what's going on here. By using this try block, it's going to go ahead and execute these parse codes. And if anything goes wrong inside the try block, it's going to go straight to this catch block. And here, because we have this exception, this variable e can get the exception and we can show a message to the user. So let's go ahead and let's copy this fancy message for the exception here. So here it is going to get the e. So you can see that the name of the exception here, the parameter is also e. So it is going to get the message. The duration is long and the type is error. So we want to see the error message. We want to see how the error message is shown to the user by using this fancy toast library. So now let's go ahead and let's run our app. So this is a very powerful trick that you can use in your applications. If you already know that the error that is thrown is not that much important. So the error that we are getting here is that it is trying to, for example, convert letter A to a string value. So for example, I'm going to enter the letter A. And let's go ahead and click on this button, Save Kickboxer to Server. Now here you can see this toast message here. This is a fancy toast message. It says for input string A. We cannot enter this value here. So you can see that our application is not crashing here. For example, for this one, kick speed, if I enter the value K, it is showing me this fancy toast message. So hopefully that makes sense. And if you have any questions about try catch block or any other topics that you have learned so far, please post a discussion in the course and then I will be there to answer all of your questions. So now let's go ahead and share our project on GitHub and also commit our changes to GitHub. So I'm gonna go ahead and click on VCS at the top, and then here go to import into version control and choose share project on GitHub. So here you need to be logged into GitHub. So here we have the auth type, change it to password, and here you need to enter the username and the password of your GitHub account. So just enter those values here and then click on login. So after entering the credentials and then logging in, now we can go ahead and share the project on GitHub. So here we have the name of the repository and we have the remote name and also a description. So for the description, I'm gonna type in here Instagram clone for Android P course. So here I'm gonna click on share. At the bottom it says creating the repository. So now it's gonna go ahead and commit our project. So this is going to be the initial commit. I'm gonna change it to, for example, Parse Server. So this is the commit message, Parse Server and Parse object. So these are the things that we've learned in this tutorial, and also the fancy toast library, or let me change it to external library because we learned how to add an external library to our project and also how to use it. External library, and I think that's fine. Now let's go ahead and click on OK. So we just committed our project, and here it says pushing to GitHub master. So it is also pushing our changes to the GitHub. Now we can go ahead and open our web browser. So let's go ahead and just go to the github.com. So here I'm gonna sign in to my GitHub account, and I just need to enter my username. So my username is Morteza Kordi. So if you want to see the projects that I share on GitHub, you just need to type in here GitHub, just open your web browser and search for github.com and then / and then the name or the username of the person that you want to see the projects of. So for example, I just need to enter Morteza Kordi. This is my username. I'm gonna enter it here. So this is my username, and I just need to press an enter key on my keyboard. Now you will see my repositories on GitHub. Okay, so for example, this one is Instagram clone, and you can see it here. So for example, you can go ahead and clone or download this project. You can take a look at the commits by just clicking on this commit. So here it is at the description of the commit. I'm just gonna click on it, and you can see the codes that are added here. You can take a look at the main activity class, the application class, the app class that extends the application class. So here are our codes you can see here. So in this way, you can access the project that we created or also modified in that specific tutorial, because at the end of each tutorial, I'm going to commit my changes. So in the next tutorial, we are going to learn how to get data, how to get parse objects from the Parse server. So I look forward to seeing you in the next video.